I'd like to start by asking you to imagine a situation where a group of friends are at a park playing pickup basketball, and on the sidelines is an individual with a disability watching the game. One friend notices the person and wants to invite them to join their game, but out of fear of saying the wrong thing or not knowing how it would impact their game, they decide against it and return to their friends. You may have seen diversity, equity, and inclusion campaigns with images related to this, describing a powerful tagline at the end about how inclusion matters. But the issue isn't in people not knowing inclusion matters. It's in people not knowing how to successfully include. Today, I'm going to talk about the power of education when it comes to disability inclusion. In 2016, when I was 8 years old, my youngest sister, Elle, was born. Unfortunately, she had a lot of medical complications early on, which led to a diagnosis of a rare genetic disorder called MED13L syndrome. While the syndrome causes global developmental delays with intellect, speech, gross and fine motor development, vision, hearing, and seizures, to my brother Christian and I, she was simply our baby sister. While our parents worried about her delays and medical issues, we were just enjoying being her big brother. But that's not to say that we weren't aware of her challenges. Being a part of her developmental journey has been impactful on my brother and I. It has taught us patience, perseverance, and the power of a strong support system. Our age gap gave us a unique perspective. Christian and I often accompanied her to her daily therapy sessions, where she worked on strengthening her neck and core, hand-eye coordination, and even learning how to babble. We often had to jump in just to encourage her to participate. It was hard witnessing firsthand the immense effort she gave to develop skills that come naturally to other kids. She struggled so much. The impact of life with a disability changes you and those around you. You learn to appreciate your own health and abilities. Because while she was being taught basic skills, she was teaching us how to adapt. We were all learning new ways to communicate by using an AAC device, which is an iPad designed for nonverbal communication. We were learning new ways to move. There were times she had to use a wheelchair after her surgeries, which made travel complicated. Every moment was spent encouraging her development. We learned to modify our lives with a new set of priorities. My brother and I learned from our parents and our therapist how to support her. Because of her delays, milestones were often so far away, so we've learned to celebrate her inch stones. We've learned to be patient, flexible, and respectful of her differences, and to believe that with the right amount of time and the right support, she can be successful. Most importantly, we've learned that success looks different for everyone. When she was little, her delays weren't obvious to most people, but as she grew older, the gap between her and her peers became obvious. According to the American Speech and Hearing Association, a typical developing 5-year-old has an expressive vocabulary of about 3,000 words. My sister had a vocabulary of only about 100 words. To my brother and I, this was just who she was. It never seemed strange. We always spoke to her in a typical way, with the added part of narrating everything we were doing for her to pick up new vocabulary. But for her peers, and sometimes mine, connecting with her wasn't so easy. Despite being a social kid, she was often overlooked or even left out. When my parents enrolled her in mainstream programs, she struggled to keep up. So eventually, they stopped signing her up altogether. For my sister, and many others with disabilities, participation in everyday activities is hard. Kids with disabilities often struggle to be a part of their community. Events, equipment, and facilities are not set up with disability access in mind. Oftentimes, the biggest barriers aren't intellectual or physical. They're social. People don't always know how to connect with someone that communicates or moves differently. They might be afraid of saying the wrong thing, or not know how to include them in what they are doing. And because of that uncertainty, they hesitate. That hesitation can lead to exclusion, which not only impacts the individuals with a disability, but their family as well. With this mindset, and wanting our sister to have the same opportunity that we had, my brother and I were inspired to found Able Athletics, a nonprofit that fosters a supportive environment for children and of all abilities to connect with their communities. At first, it was just a small effort, running adaptive lacrosse sessions in the backyards of my sister's classmates. The families asked for group sessions, so we reached into our community for volunteer support. But as more people got involved, we noticed a disconnect. Those who wanted to support these athletes were not prepared to adapt to the athletes' unique needs. So we've started an onboarding process, meeting with the volunteers before sessions, where we initially asked my sister's inner circle of special educators and therapists to prepare the volunteers, giving them an idea of what to expect, how to adapt, and most importantly, how to talk to and about individuals with differences. For example, some individuals prefer person first, then language. For example, a child with autism. Others prefer to identify as their disability, an autistic person. Educating volunteers to ask a person's preference when you initially engage with them is one of our many key takeaways from our training. The session after the onboarding, we realized something powerful. When volunteers are given the right tools, they felt confident connecting with the athletes. Having a basic understanding of what to expect and how to adapt sets everyone up for success. Inclusion needs to be taught, the same way we teach math or sports, with understanding, guidance, and practice. Today, Able Athletics has grown into an organization with over 1,000 volunteers from over 16 school districts. Our mission is founded on 2 pillars: education and inclusive sports. Supported by coaches and professional therapists, we've built comprehensive curriculums in addition to a volunteer onboarding course that promotes an environment for everyone involved. I've prepared a short video to show you our mission in action.
Let me show you something.
Since not everyone will have the opportunity to volunteer with Able Athletics, I'd like to share a few key points from our curriculum. Know that many people with disabilities want to have the same or even similar experiences as you. Focus on the person first rather than the disability. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Just because someone is nonverbal doesn't mean that they don't have an opinion. And lastly, success looks different for everyone. Think about the Inclusion Matters campaign I spoke about earlier. The message would have landed much differently for the viewer if it focused on the friend demonstrating how to approach and include the person with the disability, rather than making the viewer feel sorry for the person being left out. Education, rather than expectation, is the key to unlocking the community's potential. One small change, one person, or in my case, my brother and I, learning how to connect with differently abled people can create ripples that can change an entire community. Each of us has the power to create a difference, to make a ripple effect that changes lives, not just for the people with disabilities, but for their families, their friends, and their community. So here's my challenge to you. Think about how you could be a part of the butterfly effect of disability inclusion. It doesn't have to be through sports. It could be through your school, your workplace, and even your friend group. Inclusion starts with taking small actions and taking the time to learn about a person within your community, ask questions, and create spaces where everyone feels like they belong. And if you notice that there is a lack of awareness and opportunities in your community, feel empowered to be that first drop of energy to create a ripple effect of inclusion. My sister taught me that every step forward, no matter how small, matters. Inch stones are meant to be celebrated. If we can equip ourselves with the tools to connect, we can build communities where inclusion isn't just a word that we use, it's a way that we live. And together, we can make sure no one feels left out just because they experience the world a little differently. Thank you.